New workshop part 8. Now we're starting with building the shop/studio spaces, because last time we finished up the office and lounge room by installing the floor and kitchen and moving in the desks.
Yeah, it's temporary.
And with that done, we could start building the shop walls. To bring you back on track, this is the whole shop space that we divide into 3 individual studios. So every one of us has its own space to work and film in. Stefan's, Robin's, mine, and a share space connecting them. We began with the framing of Stefan's space, and that started with cleaning a bit. Then we started laying out the first wall, which is this little bit here. For the office wall, I made a relatively detailed model, and the experience from building that wall had us confident enough to just start with this one as the workflow stayed the same. But since it had 2 corners, we placed little dummy studs to be sure with our measurements. The stud spacing is again based on the material dimensions we got to minimize the amount of cuts we have to do later with the insulation and OSB. The bottom part gets bolted to the floor, so we pre-drilled the holes in the wood and attached the insulation tape. Then drilling through the tiles. We didn't know how strong they were and if they would crack, so we started out without hammering, which is very slow. So then we tried the small hammer drill. That worked without cracking the tile, so Robin could mark all hole locations with that, and I drilled the actual hole with the big hammer drill. The depth we need is about 1 screwdriver length. The impact dowels get hammered in and screwed down.
And don't forget the kick. Yeah, that's going nowhere.
Rinse and repeat for the other 2 floor segments. And a screw through the corner for good measure. Next, we aligned the laser with the outer edge to transfer marks to the wall and ceiling. The ceiling parts went up pretty much the same way, except we didn't unclamp and drilled the mounting holes through the pilot holes into the ceiling. And pretty cool, that ledge right there was exactly 1 stud thickness. So easy to integrate into the framing. Then the wall-mounted studs. This wall here is brick and hollow most of the time, but the impact dowels still had a strong grip. They weren't cheap, but they are good. Now the studs can go in. We measured each length with the laser .
Wendelin. Cut.
Hammered them in place and screwed them secure with 2 diagonal screws on top and bottom. And for the corners, we built a California corner as suggested by a viewer. So there's meat everywhere to screw the USB panels later. That's the first framing done, and with the 2 corners, one of the more complicated ones, here again in super speed. The second wall was one of the simplest, pretty short and no corners. So we marked everything with the laser, prepared the parts and started mounting them. But on a construction site, this also happens from time to time. Someone tripped the RCD. It's annoying, but at least it's working. Everything else was uneventful and the framing was done in no time. Now going from simple to more complicated again is this wall, with 2 corners going from here to there and a door cutout. And how we managed to get this straight and square is part of the next video.